Did you know that online streaming is becoming the most powerful means of reaching a broader audience? Even major networks are transitioning from cable television to online streaming platforms. BGK is a Christian online TV network that is ahead of the curve. We specialize in virtual broadcasting, allowing leaders to broadcast right from their homes while sitting in the comfort of their customized studios. And as if that wasn't enough, you can have our very own broadcast production for as low as $25 per week. Yes, I said it, $25 per week. Wouldn't you love to have your studio right in the comfort of your home? Well, call us at 877-386-6207 and become a broadcast partner with BGK Broadcast Network.
Hello, I am Evangelist Virginia Bowie, the host of the Cafe Freedom chat show that airs Mondays at 2 o'clock and 8 o'clock p.m. If you have an inspiring, transformative word that you want to share, why not consider becoming a part of the BGK Network family? You'll be a blessing and you'll be blessed.
BGK 24/7 Online Christian TV Network. Making what was once impossible, possible.
Hi, this is Apostle Dr. Stinson, and I thank you for tuning in to the Rural Channel, hosted by BGK, and you are meeting me on the table with dinner table conversations with Dr. Stinson. Listen, it has been a joy to come into your studios, and if I want to remind you that if you are on the go, please download our app from your Google or Apple store right now, because you don't want to miss a minute of these wonderful, phenomenal men and women that are coming, that we have coming on our show with their books and their ministries, young from all over the world. Today, I have a young man who I've been trying to get also, and he's all the way from Arizona. He's a Chicagoan, but he just sort of he deserted us. But he's now living in Arizona, and I love him so much. Welcome, Pastor Street. How are you doing today?
Bless you, doctor. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm fine. Yeah, you deserted us. You went from the warmth, from the cold weather to the snow. What is the weather in
Yes.
Arizona? About 80 degrees right now?
Yeah, it's about 78, 80 degrees.
hmm
Yeah, it's beautiful
What
here.
made your
Nothing
journey?
but sunshine.
What was your transition? Talk about your transition. How did you make that
Well,
transition?
actually, to be honest with you, Arizona was not in my view. It was nothing in my heart that said anything about Arizona. My wife and her mom, my mother-in-law, they took a trip here to visit family, and they
hmm
landed at night. And my wife called me when they land, and she said, "Babe, I feel something here in the valley." She said, "I feel like
hmm
this is our wealthy place." And so, to speed it up, make a long story short, I had to minister when she got back in Michigan, and I shared with
hmm
her. I said, "Well, tell me your experience on the road." And so when we talked on the road, she told me what she felt concerning the land, what she felt concerning ministry. And so while we were driving to Michigan, the Spirit of the Lord say, "Agree." And I told her, I said, "Babe, well, if you feel the Lord is saying that that's the next phase of our life in ministry, let's move." And I'm telling you, that was like in February. We got here 2 months after that, and it's been going strong ever since. And didn't plan to start a ministry, just wanted to really be here and rest and see what it was about. And about a year afterwards, the Lord really prompted upon my heart to reach out to people that were here and to start our ministry, which is Heart of Worship Ministries. And I'm telling you, we started in our home. with about 50 people in our living room, and we've been growing ever since. And so it's been amazing. That's really the story, and now we're seeing the move of God. It's going on 7 years of being here in Arizona now.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow. That
yes,
was a
yes,
huge transition, and
a big one. Yeah,
sometimes transition can be very hard. But I know that when God does transition you, it is all in His plan and in His
yeah,
season. Um, Personally, I love Arizona. Arizona is one of my it's my second home, and
oh,
I'm there as often as I can. I have a lot of family that did just what you did. My niece, who's a nurse at the Veteran Hospital, she just jumped up and moved to Arizona. She drove to Arizona, had a flat on the way, families panicking
uh,
and things like that. But she's been there for years, and now I have so much family there. So when I'm in Arizona, it's like, oh, Sonia's here, Sonia's here. I can't get to all of them, and so
yeah.
that's my second home. I mean, and I have college professors that have left the seminary, have moved to Arizona. So, if I was to retire and decide to leave Chicago, Arizona would be my place. Okay.
Awesome, awesome.
Yes, yes, yes. But let's talk about you, man of God. You have
Yes,
blossom. You have such a heart. I know your mom, yes, your mom in the spirit, Apostle Sharon Peters Ruff. So I
yes,
know
she's little
her
Ramon. Yeah,
very. And
yeah,
so tell me about Heart of Worship Ministries. And you have a lot of young people because you are a young man. And so you have a lot of
yes.
young people. Tell me about that spirit with the young people and how the myth is that young people don't worship God because they do worship God and they do love God.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when we started a church, actually, our church is we have really a mixture of the age brackets. We have a lot of
Hmm.
seasoned and also millennials in our ministry, but I
Hmm.
really believe within this generation, it's all about leaders teaching. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because really, with our church, when we launched our ministry, we have a lot of people that are from different states, different
Hmm.
backgrounds, and when they came into the church, I'm a
Hmm.
praiser, a shouter. You know,
Yeah.
um, I had to really teach them and to train
Hmm.
them on how to
Hmm.
respond to the presence of God and also
Hmm.
how to engage God's presence. And so,
Hmm.
yeah, sometimes worship would be a little dry or a little quiet,
Hmm.
but the Lord
Hmm.
told me, He said, I'm giving you wisdom to teach them, to train them, how to lift their hands, to embrace the presence of the Lord. And so now I'm telling you, when I'm preaching worship, they're screaming, hollering, running around the church. Worship experience is really electrifying and uplifting, even to see so many people that came from different backgrounds and now how they're responding to the presence of God. And so almost every Sunday, and I'm telling you, we did not have musicians up until a year, about 6 to 7 months ago. So we've
Wow.
been doing, yes, we've been doing ministry raw, worship raw. I
Wow.
trained our dancers to lead us in praise and worship. We will go with
Hmm.
them, with off of
Hmm.
whatever song they do. And then I would
Hmm.
teach the house. I said, it's really not us being locked up into the song. It's our heart
Hmm.
and our posture to God. And so they grabbed it and holding on to it. And I'm telling you, now we have musicians and worship is just on another level because they've been trained how to not hide behind the music and how to
Oh
make it
wow.
come from a pure place. So it's
That is so.
powerful.
That is so. That is so. That is so awesome. And you also are a psalmist. You have a single, and I understand you're working on another
Yes,
one.
ma'am.
But
Yes,
I've
ma'am.
seen you worship, and yeah, it is
Praise
really,
God.
really powerful. So, heart of worship. Where did the name? When did you know the name was what God wanted you to have? Heart of Worship Ministries. And what does that
Well,
entail for the listener?
yes. Well, Heart of Worship Ministries. My uncle in love is Apostle Ron Wilson of Full Gospel Christian Assemblies International, and that's where
Yeah.
I met my wife. And
Hmm.
and uh, I became the worship leader there at the church. And I asked them, we were doing our yearly meeting and everything. And I asked them, I said, well, Apostle, can we, this particular year, can we do a worship conference or summit? And he yelled across the church and he said, yes, you do it, you get it done, and then we'll make it happen. And so I begin to run with it and pray and ask God. I said, Lord, what is the title of this conference? What do you want me to do? What is the heartbeat? And he said, the heart of worship. And so I
Mhm.
had the Heart of Worship workshop. I brought in different dancers all across
Mhm.
Chicago and speakers, and it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
Mhm.
And so that was the only workshop that I had. And when the Lord
Mhm.
began to elevate me, and when I came out here, he said, Heart of Worship. I said, Lord, you want me to
Wow.
name that the church? He said, yes, the Heart of Worship. And so that's how the church name came. And when I shared it with my wife, she said, babe, that's it. That's it. And so, really, the focus is with that is to really bring the church back to its original place. I really believe that we are really definitely in the times we're living in. It is really important that we get back to the heart of worship. Well, it's all about Christ. It's all about God. It's all about His presence. If we could be honest, even with what we're dealing with today, with the coronavirus and everything, I really believe that this moment of us really being quarantined or locked to our homes for a certain time, I really believe God is humbling us to get back to that place of worship, to get back to that place of intimacy with Him. And so that's really how the ministry started. The church got its name, and the focus is really to teach people to get back into seeking God.
Mhm.
Too much self has been in the
Too
way,
much stuff. Yeah.
caught up with platforms and
Yes.
all of that. And I really believe God is humbling the body to really
Yes.
get back to seeking Him and to serving
Yes.
Him. And so that's really the
I,
focus of
I
our church in the name.
I so agree with you, man of God, because I believe that even in, as you say, the season that we're in right now, and I'll call it a season because as I was telling some viewers earlier, my granddaughter called and said, "Oh, mom, grandma, the world's going to end." I said, "Girl, the world's not going to end." Okay, no man knows the day nor the hour when the son of man is going to appear. She was asking for
Yeah.
some money, and I said, "Okay, we're not getting no money, and the world's not going to end." Okay. But you're so right, and I think what we have to be very careful in this season, and that God got us. He wanted us to hear Him. That's the
Yes.
first thing. So
Yes, ma'am.
we as hard-headed Jonas, the world.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about one. I'm talking about the world. Okay.
Yeah.
So it says we made a decision that we were not going to hear him. He sent something along to say, I'm going to sit you all down to let you know that I am God. And you have
Yeah.
seen people call from the White House to whatever house to say everybody needs to pray. Now, I'm not saying that the presidents and the leaders and all of that did not pray, but if they've ever been driven to their knees and not
Yes.
understanding what God is doing, because one person put God, this did not take God by the surprise, it took the world
Oh
by
no.
surprise. But we have to get back to loving who God is from our heart. He
Yes.
says, love
Yeah.
the Lord thy God with what? All your heart, your mind,
Yes.
your soul. And I believe too, man of God, that that's what God is trying to let us know. We had moved so far away
Far away. Yes,
from
ma'am.
it was all flesh, it was all platforms. And I believe I believe, and this is me, he had to slow
Hmm.
us down.
Oh yeah.
So he had to slow us down. What do you think
Yeah.
about that?
I agree. I really agree. That's kind of what I've been doing with our church. I've been really, because a lot of people, even pastors, have reached out to me and said, man of God, what is the Lord saying to you? What do you feel concerning this? I do believe that this is a wake up call, that God is trying to slow us down. Actually, I was talking to my mom the other day, and she said the same thing. She said God had to sit us down, had to sit us
Mhm.
down, slow us down to start back praying. Also, get the family back together.
Yes.
We've been,
Mhm.
yeah, get the family back together, cooking and
Mhm.
husbands and wives. You got to
Yes.
look at each other now.
Yes. Yes.
Children,
Yes.
you got to pay attention to your children. You got to
Mhm.
let them go outside and play and things like that. And I really believe that God is getting our attention to really get back to prayer, get back to the basics. We've gotten away from all of the foundational stuff with prayer, and we'll pray, but we'll rush out of the house. We'll say a quick prayer,
Exactly.
And now
Mm-hmm.
he slow you down. Now you have enough time to seek
Mm-hmm.
him and call on him. And so I do agree with you. I really believe those that really hearken to this season, to this moment, I really believe that when we get out of this, there will be a revival. There will be a
Yes.
blessing. I really sense that. I
Yes.
really sense to those that hearken and obey this moment, even the
Mm-hmm.
law of the land. I know
Yes.
some ministries were still going on, but how
Yes.
can we continue to go on? And the scripture gives us instructions, and you want to be
Yes.
blessed. So I really believe that God, like you say, is slowing us down and getting our
Mm-hmm.
attention to revisit vision, to
Mm-hmm.
revisit family, even our own
Mm-hmm.
personal life. I've been doing it,
Mm-hmm.
completing
Mm-hmm.
some things that I know
Mm-hmm.
that I said the Lord told me to do, and I put off to the side. So I agree. I
Mm-hmm.
really believe and sense in my spirit that
Yeah.
something good is going to happen after this. But I really believe we got to
Mm-hmm.
take this moment and seize it.
Yeah, and it brings me back to I so agree with you. We're cooking. We didn't cook. It was fast
Yeah,
food. Now we're
you,
being forced to cook because he closed. How phenomenal is that? He closed all the restaurants. First of
yeah,
all, he closed them because we're so busy being busy that we drop off the food for the kids and we're going back. And so now he closed all of those type of establishments. And I'm not marketing. I'm just saying God has a
yeah,
way of getting our attention. And I believe that
yes,
this is a way of getting our attention. And then, he has a way of, as he threw Joseph in the pit. And and and
wow,
and and, and then Joseph had to go and betrayed by his brothers and go to
yes,
Pharaoh's house and all of that. And then he had to sit and listen and went through a whole lot of other things. But
yes,
Joseph learned who God was in the midst of it. And I think that's
yes.
what's going to happen with this, that we're going to learn those that are hearken. You said
Mm,
that. Those that will hear God in this season will reflect and readjust what they say. Even the churches. And I just had that conversation with someone that says we still have to obey the laws of the land. I know that you want to be in your church building, but that is not the church. It had better be in your heart. It has nothing to do with that building that you have. And so
yes,
if you can't, and then many churches have been fighting technology. God didn't tell us how to spread his word. He just said spread the word. Okay.
that's right.
And so
That's
it's
right.
technology is here and he's put these tools in our hands.
Yeah.
Everything God made was good. And no matter what we say,
Yes.
everything God makes is good.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
call technology the devil, is evil,
Yes, we
is
do.
this and that. And we've called it every kind of name. And now the only way that you can reach your congregation if you're obeying the law is
Right.
through technology. So
It's through
let's talk
technology.
a little bit about your conference that's coming up. It's going to be
Yes.
phenomenal in June 4th and June 5th, and you're going to have some wonderful speakers, Jasmine and
Yes, ma'am.
Isaac and Sherman and all of these
Yes.
heart of worship. And you're calling it the takeover.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
about the takeover? What about the takeover?
Well, I was preparing for 2020. The Lord told me 2019, the end of the year, He dealt with me, and I really wasn't going to have a conference. And I told my wife, I said, I don't really feel like having a conference, and we'll just continue to build the ministry. And the Lord really put it upon my heart. He said, no, 2020 is that year. And I said, well, Lord, what is it? He said, to take over. And really, with being in Arizona, Arizona is a different. It's a different wave. It's a different flow, atmosphere
Yes,
concerning, and I mean the
yes,
spiritual. It is really
yes.
different. And
Tough.
so yes, you really gotta have, gotta be
It's
called.
tough. Yes.
It's tough to be in the
Hmm.
desert. And so I'm
Hmm.
telling you, the Lord told me, He said, 2020 is the year of the takeover. And He said, I want you to have your conference, the Heart of Worship Conference, but title it the Takeover. And so this year, we're really gearing to teach and train people to taking over in the seven mountains. Wherever
Oh,
God has,
okay.
yes, that's
Hmm.
the focus.
Hmm.
Wherever God has called them to rule. It's not about
Hmm.
competition. It's not about where we're trying to think we're better than someone. No, this year we're not going to be complacent. We're going to go
Hmm.
after what we feel that God has assigned us to do. Like you're saying, even with the technology, the Lord told me,
Hmm.
He said, this year I want you to do more with media, with technology.
Hmm.
Don't
Hmm.
limit yourself just to a pulpit. There are many
Hmm.
pulpits, churches here and other ways to teach the gospel and to get the
Mm-hmm.
word of the Lord spread it out to the world. And so that's the
Mm-hmm.
focus of the conference. All of our speakers, actually, God has just given us favor here in Phoenix, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm believing God that the coronavirus will be dead
I am too. I am
by
too.
June. Yes, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's the focus where, and actually, many have already registered coming from
Mm-hmm.
Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
California, Baltimore,
Mm-hmm.
uh, uh, also Mexico, New Mexico.
Wow.
Yes, people are coming, and so we're believing God, and also Arizona, that this is going to be just a conference for the books. I believe it's going to be record breaking. That was one of the prophetic words that I
Oh,
received for
wow.
even Arizona. That it's going to be record breaking. And
Mm-hmm.
so the Lord told me, He said to declare that it'll be paid in full before June. He said, I want you to pray that this year the conference, you believe God for 100 registered guests. He said, just start
Wow.
there. And I'm telling
Wow.
you, already God has given us favor.
Mm-hmm.
Our leaders and guests are already locked and set. The hotel
Mm-hmm.
is almost
Mm-hmm.
done. And so I really believe that this is a season that God is raising up the church to take over in
Mm-hmm.
entertainment, take over in business. We've been
Mm-hmm.
sitting in church too long shouting,
Yes, we
and we're broke,
have.
and yes, and we're broke. And I told my wife, I said, this is a year of multiple streams. I'm not going to
Yes,
be
it is.
preaching on prosperity and increase and feel
Yes.
bad because the Lord, I get blessed, or the
Yes.
Lord is bringing
Yes.
increase. No, He
Yes.
told us that, He said, I've given you power to get wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we're teaching. Also in health, we're telling them to
Mm-hmm.
take over in their health, to get healthy, to
Yes. Yes.
exercise, to so
Yes.
that we can live long and enjoy
Yes.
the blessing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's the conference. We're still planning and we're still working, and I'm excited. Of course, Jasmine, she's going to be with
Yes.
us, and
Yes. Yes.
my
Yes.
wife is one of the speakers as well, and it is going to be amazing. So I'm excited about what God is doing.
Well, how does someone register for the conference at this point? How do they register for the conference at this point? Someone wants to
Well, they
come.
can go. Yes, they can go to Eventbrite at HOWM Encounter 2020.eventbrite.com. If they go to
Okay.
Eventbrite and put in the Heart of Worship Encounter, they can go there to register all of the
Mm-hmm.
information. And registration is only $65 for the entire conference.
That's
Yes, and
wonderful.
so they'll be able to experience the morning sessions with all of
Mhm.
our outer guest speakers, and also my wife is one of the speakers, and it's going to be really, really well. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and one of the things that I wrote in my new book is that multiple streams of income. My father taught us many years ago, years as I was coming up. I came up in an era where entrepreneurship was not something that they did. It's something that they taught. My father has
Wow.
always told us you have to make a job instead of getting a job. So of the 9 girls and the 4 or 5 boys that we have, we've only
Wow.
lost one sister.
Wow.
All of us are entrepreneurs, but one. And she's really
Wow.
catching on. But what's also catching on is those generations that's coming after us, our nieces and
Yes.
our children. They have gotten that spirit in them about multi streams of income, and that you must begin to take control of your own life. If God said in Deuteronomy that we will lend and not borrow, then we have to
Yes.
make ways for that. One of the things I mentioned in the book is that we do these vision boards, but a vision board is basically for you to determine what is your next stream of income. What else do I
Wow.
do? A lot of times we
That's
do these
good.
wonderful vision board parties, but it really vision boards are saying, what is the next vision that I need to take over, and where do I start?
Mm.
And we do
Yeah.
them for fun, but God tells us in the word of vision, He says we like because we perish because we don't have a vision. And I don't believe that
Mm.
people don't have vision. I believe that people don't know how to activate the vision. So I believe that
Yes.
God gives us vision, but then the activation, because once He plants that seed, it has to come from God. The conception has to come from
Yes.
God. God has given you
Yes.
that vision, okay? But
Yes.
then what do I do with it? And so it lays dormant until, as you say, it's too late or we become disheartened in it. And so that's very
Yeah.
important that you're going to be teaching about the fact that the 7 mountains, because I think there's such a misunderstanding about the 7 mountains.
Oh
We
yeah.
got to get out of the pulpit. And this new epidemic is probably going to cause us, as you said, revival. Let's talk a little bit
Yes,
about
ma'am.
that. You're in the middle of the epidemic. What type of revival you think is going to come forth from this epidemic?
I really believe that not just the norm of what we've been seeing, hand clapping, shouting in church. I really believe
Mm-hmm.
that I was telling my wife, I said, I sense that God is shifting us to really get into business, to be more,
Mm-hmm.
also reading, to get more understanding. Because a lot of us, I'm noticing throughout my timelines and social media that there are a lot of singers, worshipers, pastors that are really suffering in this moment. And I said
Yes.
it should not be. It should not
Yes.
be that we're suffering, and it tells me where we have been as the church. And I really
Mm-hmm.
believe that God is saying that I'm about to do a revival,
Mm-hmm.
really revive and cause those dead dreams and businesses and corporations that have been in us to come alive, so that we can
Mm-hmm.
train our sons, our daughters. I've been talking to my 7-year-old son about
Mm-hmm.
a t-shirt line. You know, he's so creative and energetic. And I said, "You want to make some money?" I said, "Well, we're gonna make some t-shirts. We're gonna get you some
Mm-hmm.
stuff going." And
Mm-hmm.
he's so excited about it. And even my daughter. And so I really believe that this is a season. It won't just be for us, but it'll be for our generations to come, to leave a legacy in the earth of business, also spiritual, but also that
Yes.
when times and crises come, we will be able to sustain. I believe that. I believe that this is the season.
Well, how do they get in touch with you? We have a few minutes. How do they get in touch with you? Let us know how to get in touch with you.
Yes, you can contact me via Facebook. You can search me as Denard D Street, also Pastor Denard D Street on Facebook, or you can email me at denardstreetministries@gmail.com.
Well, I am so glad that you came on. Listen, remember the Takeover Conference, which happens in when? June what?
It's June the
June
4th through the 6th.
in Arizona. I may be there just to get a vacation. Listen, thank you for
Yeah,
coming on, and God bless you, dear.
thank you so much. Love you.
I want to thank everybody for coming on to the Rural Channel, hosted by Dr. Stinson. We want to thank you for joining me on the table. It's been a blessing to be in your living rooms. If you have not downloaded our BGK app, please do so at this time from any Google or Apple store. You can reach me at 1-866-200-9850. Just remember that we're in a season where God is really getting our attention. I love you with the love of Jesus. Thank you for joining me on the table, and I'll see you next week. Matthew House comes from the scripture of Matthew 25:35. I was a stranger and you took me in. I was hungry and you fed me. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was in prison and you came to visit me. That's how we developed Matthew House. 3 African American men who had the compassion and the love of people who are all veterans. My name is Dr. Sonia Rickett Stinson, and I am the Executive Director and the CEO of Matthew House.
Right now we're in the common room, which is also named as the day room. This is where most of our clients eat during the daytime. This is where they can watch TV. This is where they can socialize.
Hi, my name is Kirsten Dickens. I work as a nurse practitioner and one of the providers at Heartland Alliance Health. So here, Heartland Alliance has a number of outreach sites around the city, so linkage agreements with certain sites where we take our typical outpatient clinic model and bring it in to specific outreach sites, Matthew House being one of them.
Or they can go and get their public entitlement benefits, or helping with a storage bid, supplying the blankets, or supplying the toiletries. Cleaning supplies is something we take for granted.
Other things that we have to get done. There's building maintenance that we have to take care of. There's the supported service at the program staff who have to definitely be here from 12 hours a day in order that the individuals are not in the heat and they're not in the cold. So we need your help. We need your financial support.
We need volunteers. You can go to our website at MatthewHouseChicago.org. There's a donation button, but most of all, we need funds. We need all that we can get to fix this building because these people need a place to be.
And I'm glad I'm here, and I will continue to be here until I'm not here anymore.